Hello again. Now let's go back to one of our top stories this afternoon. It's about SAA, still not over its turbulent past. The SAA Cabin Crew Association and Numsa saying the airline has found new wings, but corruption is still flying high at the carrier. It says this is leading to job cuts. The two trade unions say over 200 staff members are being fired this month. The groups have been picketing outside the Public Enterprises Department in Pretoria to highlight their issues. Well, my colleague, eNCA reporter and fellow anchor Heidi Giokos, following the developments, she was up and about there earlier, but she's back in the studio now to give us the update. Heidi, very good afternoon to you. We understand more than 100 workers have been retrenched at SAA so far. What's the latest on this?
So we do understand, Bradan, that it's actually over 200 workers that have been issued with a letter to say that the training layoff scheme cannot continue. And the reason for this is because SAA says that there is no money for this to continue. They have not been successful in obtaining funding for this scheme to continue. This scheme was established when SAA went into business rescue to absorb workers that perhaps needed to be upskilled and be moved into various departments within the national carrier that perhaps did not have the necessary skills so that they don't get retrenched or lose their jobs, whereas others opted to get voluntary severance packages. So we do understand that workers, about over 200 of them, got these SMSs to a link that had a lengthy letter to the workers to say that there's no money. And what's also interesting here is that SAA mentioned in this letter that it was the previous executive team that agreed to this training layoff scheme, and they have tried their very best to do so. However, you have Numsa and Saka who are saying that the South African Airways management team and the executive are not being honest, and they're not explaining the full picture to all of this, because they are saying that they were unable to receive the funding to continue with the scheme because they have not been able to provide financial results of SAA for years. So it just seems as though the two unions and SAA are not coming to any kind of agreement. They're not having the same kind of discussion. And at the end of the day, Bradan, the workers bear the brunt of this. They have been suffering for years because of the turbulence that SAA has been experiencing. So they were out today at the Department of Public Enterprises to hand over this memorandum. They feel they can't get answers from SAA. This is why they went to the shareholder. But let's listen to some of their grievances.
As SAA employees, we are disheartened by what is happening at the workplace. This company is supposed to be restructured, and a so-called new company is supposed to emerge. Our members are deeply aggrieved, hence they came out today, about the fact that so many of the old SAA problems have been carried over into this new airline, version 2. As junior employees, our members have found themselves without the benefits that they used to enjoy. The allowances that they used to enjoy have been taken away. The salaries have been cut by a whopping 35% to a point where it's unlivable. This means that they work for nothing. They work for nothing. Whilst the managers, the specialists, have increased their salaries, and SAA must not dare deny this as they have done before. We were there during the Section 189 process where they presented to us how they have benchmarked themselves across the industry. But as ordinary workers, we were benchmarked against a low-cost carrier.
Now, Heidi, I understand that the Department of Public Enterprises received the memo. I wonder if they had anything to say.
Yes, certainly. We do understand that the Director General of the Department of Public Enterprises came out to receive this memorandum. He also said a few words explaining that it is a very difficult process and it's a very difficult position for the Departments of Public Enterprises to be in, because the shareholder does not get involved in day-to-day operations, and it becomes a bit of a complex process when these two unions approach the Departments of Public Enterprises. But as I mentioned earlier, Numsa and Saka have said that they actually don't know who to turn to anymore because they're just not getting clear answers, and they've tried to engage with the CEO of SAA and they say they just can't get through to him, whereas the CEO of SAA says that he's engaged with Labour, yet Labour does not agree with this. So we do understand understand that the Director General is saying they will try and deal with this process, they'll try and engage. They do understand that this training layoff scheme was there to provide some kind of employment and upskill workers and avoid complete mass retrenchments from this laying off scheme, but now the complete opposite is happening. So it's very difficult for the department to try and provide a solution to this because it lies in the hands of SAA. But let's further listen to the Director General on this matter.
This was a model program from our side, SDP, and this was driven by the need to ensure that we can reserve as many jobs as possible and create a room for when the airline grows, that we have talent immediately available to come in and obviously be employed at SAA. But we always knew that the airline was not in a position to be able to fund that we have to find funds elsewhere. That's why we had the Department of Higher Education as well as the Department of Labor were roped in as part of the interministerial effort to find solutions to this program, which will tell you that we have in the original obviously alternative like 1,000 people employed there and sustained through some of the programs that these departments run through, for instance, the CCMA as well as the National Skills Fund. To ensure that it has not worked out as we had hoped, because there are criteria that are in place for you to be able to access that fund. And we'll provide a response to yourself, as I'm aware that SA has also provided a response in the letter to your leadership as to why the TLS fund itself where it is. That's why the program is not working. But we still believe that it is a program that we should really work together within government and obviously with organized labor to ensure that it succeeds. Because it really sets up what is possible, because we cannot continue to be building jobs as we have done.
And still ahead here on Today, I'm going to be speaking to international relations consultant Charles Sinkala to unpack South Africa's participation in the in what is known as the high-level segment of the 49th session of the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva, Switzerland.